Hi everyone, it's JJ here and welcome or welcome back to Be Colorful. Although definitely out of time, today we're gonna create two Shadowbox cards for Valentine's Day, or in general for a romantic occasion, to let someone special know how much we love them. The idea for one of these cards came to me thanks to the video of an Italian creative YouTuber, Eleonora. She recently posted a tutorial for creating a shadow box for Valentine's Day. She created a heart made of roses. She used her Cricut to cut out the silhouette of the roses. In this video I'd like to show you how to take inspiration from projects like this, even if we don't have certain tools, and how, from a frame, we can still take inspiration to create a totally different thing. In fact, I'm gonna create two Shadowbox cards. Not having a Cricut, I'm gonna use dice and my big shot to create my roses. Of course, with Cricut the process would be faster and you could create different sizes of roses, but for a card these dice are more than enough. My card will have an elegant style, as I want them to match the gift box of the chocolate I bought. The colors in the package are black, white and silver. So let's start creating the first Shadowbox card, for which I took inspiration from Eleonora's frame of roses. First of all, with these dies, I'm going to die cut on black cardstock, not too thick, otherwise it will be more difficult to curl. The card that I'm gonna create is actually for my sister, because, let's remember, love has different forms, so she too will receive my gift for Valentine's Day. So after die cut we get this spiral. At this point I'm gonna create the flower by turning the paper on itself with the help of this special quilling tool. I show you the process by creating red roses, so we have to insert the end of the spiral into the little slot of the quilling tool and turn the paper on itself. Near the end, remove the flower and close it, applying the glue on the final 2-3 petals. And the rose is ready. Okay, after creating a lot of black roses, I start gluing them on a piece of cardstock of the same color as the flowers. In this way, if I leave some gaps, they will not be very visible. I'm gluing the roses to form a heart, initially helping me with a template. Specifically, I'm using a die. The outline of the heart is ready. You can stop here if you prefer, or fill the whole heart, as I will. Obviously I need a lot more roses. Once the heart is finished, I proceed with painting the flowers with a black acrylic paint. This because the paper I used is very cheap, and got damaged during the quilling. showing the inner heart of the paper, which is brown. Maybe you don't notice it from the video. I'll show you the difference. The right part of the heart is already colored with black acrylic paint. The left part is not. The effect is not too bad, but the rustic touch of craft paper doesn't match the style of this card. After applying the color, I dry it well, and I'm gonna create a nice touch of silver light, which will better define the petals of the roses, making them stand out a little bit more. To do this, I'm using texture paste, specifically the Nuvo Expanding Silver Mousse. The brush is totally dry. This is a specific dry brushing technique, which can be obtained with a mousse like this, with waxes, or simply with acrylic colors. In this last case, however, it's better to use a stiff Bristol brush. Drying brushing combined with the use of these specific products create a sort of patina only in the most embossed point of the composition, defining the various elements. Now I'm going to cut out the heart, and it's ready to be glued onto our project, be it a card, a gift package, or anything else you can think of. Let's move on to the creation of the Shadowbox card. On some black cardstock, I'm going to cut out a 5.5 by 9 inches rectangle. Then, in the length, I make fold lines at ½ inch. I rotate and make a fold line again at ½ inch. Then at 4.75 inches. And finally at 4.25 inches. With a rectangle die, I'm gonna create a window on the upper side of the shadow box. The die does not necessarily have to be rectangular. In my case, I just want to create a card that looks like a frame. If you don't have a suitable die, you can also cut the window with a ruler and a cutter. I fold well following all the fold lines I created before, and here is the basic structure of a shadow box card. Just to be safe, I want to reinforce the frame. To do this, I simply cut out a rectangle slightly smaller than the upper face. And die cut with the same die I used to create the window. I'm going to glue the frame on the back of the upper side. And now it's the time to create a background for the shadow box. As I already said, it will be a card with the colors white, black and silver. So let's add the white. I'm creating a black panel slightly smaller than the lower side of the shadow box. I'm going to prepare the surface with my anti-static powder, as I'm going to do the heat embossing technique. This anti-static powder will not allow the powder of the embossing powder to stick everywhere, but only where the ink will be. Okay, next, to define the shape of the heart a little bit more, I'm going to model the flowers by pressing them gently, specifically the flower on the bottom tip. Now let's add a touch of silver. I'm going to die cut a heart onto the silver mirror paper, using the same die I used to create the heart shape. After that, I finish assembling the shadow box by applying glue on the flap. I glue the background. Maybe I could have done this before, but well, doesn't matter. Then I glue the silver heart. And the art of flowers is practically ready. However, during construction, I got the idea of making it look a little more like a box of chocolate. So I'm going to add a glitter white ribbon. It's a simple ribbon for gift wrapping. In fact, I also created some curves by dividing a piece of ribbon into 3 parts and curling with the blade of the scissors. I glue the curves onto the ribbon with a dot of hot glue, and I'm going to hide this rather ugly piece with a triangle gem. It doesn't have a color that I'd like to use on the card, so I paint it with a black marker, adding a silver shade with the expanding mousse. I'm going to glue the heart of flowers on the shadow box. And let's move on creating the sentiment. I'm going to use this love die on the silver mirror card, and I glue it to the card. But I really want a suspension effect. Then I cut out a strip of acetate and I glue the sentiment over the strip, giving the feeling that it is suspended. Thus ends this first shadow box card. The second shadow box card is for my partner, and it will be even more personalized since I decided to print a photo of our trip to Paris. One of the few photos I have left, since I don't know how I have lost all of them. I discovered it while I was looking for the photo to print for this card. I have only about 10 left that I took with the phone, and some that I had transferred to Google Photo, like the one I gonna use in this card. I just don't want to believe it. It's a really tragedy for me. Okay, let's think about the card. As before, I created a shadow box, same paper, same size. Here I'm going to create a frame to increase the thickness and stability of the upper part, as I did before. As a background, I'm gonna use this vintage Paris pattern paper. However, I'd like it slightly softer, and to get a subtle pattern paper, you can use Vellum. On a photographic paper, I printed my photo, which I'm going to cut out to make it look like a polaroid. And now, let's start assembling everything. To glue the vellum, I'm going to apply the glue only in the part covered by the photo. The glues and adhesives in general remain quite visible through the vellum, so apply the glue strategically only in the part you are going to cover. I decided to add some details to the vellum by making some random stamps. Having to stamp on vellum, I'm gonna use STAYS-ON ink, a fast-drying permanent ink with which you can stamp on a lot of surfaces, even non-porous ones, and ensures a clear stamp without risk of smudging and, above all, permanent. If you don't have this type of ink, you can use any ink you want and make it permanent with a hot embossing with a clear embossing powder. To clean up my stamps, I usually use this stamp cleaning tool and a stamp cleaning spray. Next, I'm gonna add a beautiful cascade of black, silver and white pearlescent hearts. After deciding more or less how to position them, I proceed to glue everything. I also add a beautiful black rose and a touch of color. In fact, I decided to glue the 2 red roses I made at the beginning of the video. And remember the tip. Use the element you have glued on the vellum to apply the glue to the vellum itself, making it adhere in several points. Also for this card I'm going to die cut the sentiment love on black paper and glue it on an acetate strip, creating the floating effect. I'm going to add a few red hearts around the word love in order to bring this color to another point of the card. And I finish it off with a touch of shine, applying very thin silver glitter with the Aqua Shimmer pen. Here too, why not? Finally, I'm going to close the Shadowbox card. That's all for today, my friends. I hope you enjoyed these Shadowbox cards. By now I have already delivered them and the recipient really liked them, but perhaps they liked more the selection of chocolate they found inside the box. if you like the video, leave me a thumbs up and a comment with a lot of heart. I wish you lots of love and lots of chocolate every day, not just on 14th February. Thanks for stopping by, a kiss, see you next time and be colorful!